Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. I'm Tony Haggerty, Haggerty10 Twitter handle, which you all know by now. And I'm joined today, as always, by Sean Martin at Sean Martin TCW. Welcome to the Morning Briefing Live. Fabulous Friday pod. Sean, how are you?
I'm all good, Tony. Very excited. It was a late night, but very excited anyway.
Yes,
late night, early morning.
Now, we're hoping the Fabulous Friday leads to our Super Saturday, but we'll get to that in due course. First and foremost, a word for our new sponsors, Football Prizes. And there you see it, guys. You can win this stunning signed and framed Celtic shirt of Lila Bada for $3.95. The link's in the description. Just follow that and you could win that. But also, get your questions and comments in to the comment section there. Sean and myself will pick the best one out and we'll enter you into that. And whoever that wins that goes into that draw for free. So you know what to do, guys. You want pay $3.95 and you can be in the line for the draw for the Lila Bada framed Celtic shirt. And also, there's 2 instant win prizes. You could win a Kyogo framed Celtic shirt signed and also a £25 gift voucher for the club shop. So we can't say fairer than that. Get those comments coming in. We'll mull over them, pick the best one. And also at the bottom, the strap line, you know what I'm going to say. It's £1 for 2 months of full access. You get access to everything that's written on the website. Some wonderful stuff on there. And obviously the YouTube videos too. Notifications and newsletters. All stats and data analysis there, Sean. Everything, something for everybody on the website. And you can have a look at that by hitting that subscribe button, guys. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Now, Sean, there's a small matter of association football on Saturday, which has crept up upon us. It's the first Glasgow Derby of the season. How are you feeling going into that one?
Very good after that transfer window, Tony. I'm not going to lie. I think it's I'm agreeing with a lot of the comments coming in saying it's outstanding. It's an excellent window. Obviously, another wee bit of business done last night, and I think there's every reason to feel confident, not just for this game, but for pretty much all the games going forward.
Now, Sean, I'll ask you, lots of people saying, we kind of touched upon it yesterday, is it hard to get away from the fact that this is arguably the best transfer window ever for Celtic? 9 players coming in?
I think it's got to be up there. I mean, certainly in my lifetime, I think you could make that argument. Not only because obviously 9 players coming in, but managing to secure Jota and Carter Vickers, which builds on last season's success. Obviously, the January transfer window was excellent as well. But then to add bits and bobs here and there and get rid of players that, frankly, you needed to get rid of as well, it leaves you with a squad that's, in a way, is more streamlined.
Yes.
So, therefore, maybe you could argue that there's fewer actual bodies in the building than there was last year, but there's certainly a higher quality, and there's certainly maybe at least two players for each position that you know you can actually pick. You don't mind what one of them starts a lot of the time, and that's something Celtic haven't had for years.
Now, Oliver Abildgaard came in, Sean, late last night, Danish midfielder, to complete that, as you say, the gaps that Ange had identified that the team possibly needed. Now, nice wee segue into the fact that you're talking about 2 players for every position. We have one of Sean's notorious death charts coming up, don't we, Sean?
You say death chart there?
No, depth chart I said, but
there we go.
There it is. Now, guys, have a look at that.
If you can need it, might be a wee bit.
Yeah, but there is 2/3 players for some positions, but certainly 2, Sean. That's what you call a depth of squad, and there's quality and talent and abundance there, is there not?
Oh, aye. I mean, when you look at it, Tony, this is what I mean. I've not included any like fringe youngsters like Rocco Vaca might be able to step in if things happen, injuries, that kind of thing. This is just bona fide first team players, and really, even if you're being overly critical, like maybe I shouldn't have put Aaron Moy right centre mid. Potentially, he's going to play deeper a lot, but regardless, he can rotate between. James McCarthy's maybe the only player in that depth chart there that you probably would look at if he was in the starting lineup and say, right, not sure. Maybe Edeguchi, the way that it's gone so far, but that's mostly due to injuries. Everybody else on that chart, you're happy with them starting, aren't you, Tony?
Of course, yeah. I mean, you saw what happened the other night when Ange Postecoglou made 9 changes. Didn't make any difference to the rhythm of the flow of that Celtic team, did it?
Mm-hmm.
Which what we spoke about on Monday, that they're doing things on a repetitive basis till they hone it to perfection, and it's certainly starting to bear fruit whatever Celtic team takes to the field.
Exactly. I mean, when you look at it, I know I've done it so that there's like on the premise that you can't play more than one position at a time, which is why nobody's listed for more than one position. But realistically, you've got a lot of versatility within that as well.
Yes.
I mean, up front, Kyogo and Giakoumakis are the centre forwards, okay, right? Abada can deputise there if needed. Maeda can deputise there if needed. And I suppose Kyogo could play wide left, but we don't want him there really. Jota and Maeda, I've listed them as the kind of first choice.
Yeah.
So when they two start, obviously, usually it's Maeda on the left, Jota on the right. The two of them switch within games. They can switch from the start if need be. Forrest has played off the left. Haksabanovic can play on the right as well. That's only the strikers, Tony. That's only the forward line. You can mix and match that as you want. The midfields get the same stuff. Hatate and Turnbull, all right, they usually play left centre mid. But McGregor can move up there if Moy wants to play deeper, if Abildgaard's starting. As I say, there's a lot of versatility. It bodes really, really well in that sense.
Very much so. Now, Sean, Abildgaard came in last night. You put up a post on the website describing the nature of the deal, because it was referred to as a season-long deal, and lots of people saying, was it a loan deal with an option to buy? But you've put the link to the oddity explained, as you say. That's what it is, if you care to explain it to people who can also read it in a bit more depth on the website. Click the link, but if you give a quick summation, Sean.
Well, I thought it said loan initially as well, and in a way it kind of is a loan anyway. It's not technically speaking one, but it will be going back to Rubin Kazan's the contract it has with Rubin Kazan on the 30th of June next year. So the reason that it's a season-long deal rather than a season-long loan is because of the Russia-Ukraine situation, the invasion of Ukraine. So Russian clubs and Ukrainian clubs have kind of special dispensation under a new FIFA ruling that was made, I think, in June, where their players and coaches can negotiate deals with foreign clubs for a year, basically for this season. Now with Haksabanovic, that's been different. Obviously, it was Rubin Kazan they got him from, but they announced it differently. They announced that as a 5-year deal, right? Yes. That's not that. But with Abildgaard, it is this ruling that applies, and it seems to be anyway. The club didn't actually confirm it either way, but the fact that they've said it's a year-long deal rather than a loan deal, they've not mentioned anything about options to buy or anything like that, suggests that it is this rule that they're exploiting, which is well done to the club for exploiting it. But essentially what it is he's negotiated his own deal with Celtic that will run for the season until the end of the end of June next year. At which point, depending on the Russia-Ukraine situation, he'll go back to the Rubin Kazan contract that he was under, which runs until 2024. So that FIFA thing, the release doesn't mention anything about being able to insert options to buy or pre-arrange an option to buy. That doesn't mean necessarily that you can't, just that they said that there's no mention of it, if you know what I mean. There's no mention of it in that release. So as I say, there's an article there that kind of explains it a wee bit better than I will. I mean, I wrote it, but I'm better writing than I'm speaking, Tony, as you well know.
It's just that players were given dispensation to suspend their contracts, weren't they?
Yep.
For that
temporary employment rules is what FIFA calls it.
Basically, that's what it is, and it's a temporary suspension of a contract with a Ukrainian football club. Russian football club.
And Ukrainian ones,
they're not going to apply their wares elsewhere for the year and then see what happens.
So, like, can Celtic buy them? Like, short answer is yes, they can, but it seems not right now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because of that FIFA ruling, it's like, as I say, he's probably got a salary package of his own that will expire at the end of June. As I say, it's unclear if you can pre-arrange things. It doesn't seem to suggest that you can. No mention of it on the FIFA release. But nonetheless, I mean, he's going to spend the year with Celtic. It's not like a traditional loan where there might be sweeteners in for the parent club and there might be recall options. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't apply because it's not strictly speaking a loan. Yep. And if nothing else, he'll have a year less on his deal when he goes back. So if Celtic want to buy him at that point, there's a year less that you'd be paying for, if you know what I mean. So.
And there's Andrew Gallia, which is a phrase that we're aware of, Sean. Try before you buy, which was the kind of...
That's the Maurice Jens one for this year.
Yeah, Maurice Jensen.
Jota.
Yeah. So that was a kind of idea behind that. Now, you mentioned players moving on.
Yep.
Mikey Johnston has gone to Vitória Guimarães on a season-long loan deal. David Bradley comes in. Hi, Sean. Tony, yes, it's the best transfer window I've seen. Best part. Michael Ross, best part of the win is we kept our best players with no incoming bids. Indeed, that was all great. As well, Mikey Johnston gone to Portuguese side Vitória Guimarães, but he's also extended his contract, Sean, as well, hasn't he?
Yep, they announced a year on loan at Vitória, a year extension to his deal, so that would take him up to 2026. So I see that as a massive vote of confidence, a big show of faith, rather than... I mean, it could be this. If you're cynical, it could be if anybody wants him permanently at the end of that year, then they need to pay more because he's under contract till 2026. But 2025 was, I think, enough security for that anyway for me. Yeah. So I think it is the show of faith, and because you do see it in flashes. It's the reason people are equally patient and frustrated with Mikey Johnston, is that you can see what's in there. He's 22. I don't think he's turned 23 yet, has he? So he's it's just he has turned 23, sorry, but it's just that regardless, in real time football years, Tony, he's probably still a teenager with the amount of actual game time that he's got, and certainly with the amount of consecutive and successive games that he's got. So I'll keep an eye on it. I hope it's the making of him. I'm just intrigued to see how his decision making progresses with regular game time in a first team. So
and I think Ange and Celtic hope it's the making of him too.
Yep. Edward of Oz, Tony saying, if only Mikey had the composure and the peripheral vision of Moy, Hatate or Haksabanovic, he'd be a regular starter. Well, yeah.
Hard to argue that.
It's hard to argue with that, but if Sinan's pots and pans, I suppose, Tony, but I don't disagree. There's the decision making, I suppose, composure comes into that, but he's got something, Tony. Everybody can see it, so hopefully that's the making of him.
Great window, Sean. I think most of the Celtic supporters would agree it's been a morning. What a transfer window, Gary McDowell, and there's an air of confidence, a spring in their step today. Now we'll see what happens tomorrow. Good morning, Celtic. Shatter from staying up till after the window closed. I refuse to say the word slam shut, Sean. Yeah, good morning, Retro Celtic. How you doing? Yeah, indeed.
Retro Celtic follow-up question, Tony. Is he worth the bother? Mikey Johnston. Why not, is what I would say. Youth product, under contract anyway, so send him on loan, see how he does, innit?
We will find out, won't we? We'll find out this time next year if he's worth the bother, and he has improved his game. Les John's a great season post-goal, won't play for Celtic again.
I suspect it could be make or break like that, Tony, but obviously, as I say, giving him the extra year, I think, is a vote of confidence. So
at least Celtic are giving him every chance to resurrect his Celtic career on the premise that he does well in Portugal. So you can't say they've not, given him an opportunity. Portugal, a good league for MJ, a nice place to live. We'll get a bit more time on the ball there. I assume he spoke with Ryan Gold. Possible, yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Now, Rangers, Sean.
We're on to them, are we? Okay.
We're on to them. We've moved on. And obviously, the dilemma that we have every week when we try and second guess the manager. We genuinely leave it up to the manager, but we do a thing where we try and predict. I like
trying to second guess him. It's become a battle of wills, even though he doesn't realise he's in a battle of wills. It's
or a battle of wits where you and I are only half prepared, Sean. So there you go.
Two half wits make a full wit, I suppose.
Or a dim wit, or one of the two. But there you go. But yeah, so he's got real dilemma tomorrow, hasn't he? Because a few maybe played themselves into contention. But I think you and I think it's maybe a wee bit more cut and dried when we were talking off air about our own personal selections.
I think it's pretty straightforward. I'll flash that up. That's my team, Tony. I could see a debate for a couple of positions, and I'm kind of hoping you make the debate for a couple of positions because I've nailed my colours to that by making it the depth chart. But that is my team. So spoiler alert when you read the predicted lineups later on. But that, unless Ange comes into that press conference at lunchtime and says so and so is out, then that's the team. I think.
Okay. Let's debate a couple.
Right. Okay. All right.
Starfelt and Jens in the defence for a start.
Right. I think it will be Starfelt. I think he'll go with the two the kind of partnership. I think that's partly why maybe he gave the both of them a rest. I thought it would be the opposite. I thought he would play the both of them to get Starfelt that extra game time with his partner, that kind of thing. Saying that, I would actually quite like to see Jens in this game.
Yep.
And I suppose this is where the depth comes into it, where I'm not going to be that fussed if it is, if you know what I mean. I don't think anybody's going to be raging if it's Starfelt. I don't think they'll be raging if it's Jens. Is there any? There's a shout in here, Tony. A couple of shouts actually. Is there a shout, James Larkin, saying Anthony Ralston has to start, gives everything? Is there any chance, Tony, that he starts Ralston over Juranovic for this game?
I just don't see it. I think, like we talk about, Kyogo's a natural starter when he's fit. I think the same applies to Juranovic over Ralston, and I just think he favours Juranovic over Ralston. But I thought Ralston was excellent the other night.
It was,
and I just think that's the key, isn't it? That's how you keep players happy. You give them game time and they win, and you say to them, "Look, you've done nothing wrong. It's just my personal preference." You know, that's managers are made. That's why managers are there. They make those big calls, you know. But as long as guys can come on and contribute and not take the huff,
you saw it at the Hibs League Cup final. What he would pick when it was the biggest game. He picked Juranovic, even though he'd been playing less for most up until then, and Ralston had been playing well. But
and that's no slight on what Ralston brings to the table, because he got a couple of assists the other night, didn't he? One of them being an excellent assist for Yakimakis' goal. So, I mean, that's another big call. Gents before Starfelt, or Gents in for Starfelt, William Monton.
AJCSC. I always get tripped up by his name. I agree with Sean's selection, but I'm tempted to put Ralston in. He was immense. Andrew Galea says Starfelt better defensively. Michael Ross saying either Welsh or Jens over Starfelt. So obviously Starfelt still got those critics, Tony.
Yeah.
I actually thought some of the Derby games last year were some of his better games, to be honest.
Now, I wouldn't want to dwell on it, but it depends how you think who'll cope better with Čolak. You know, and because he's pretty good in the air, and he's. I
still think that the majority of your game, even in a Derby game, for the centre backs is going to be defined by how you deal with taking the ball out and how well you deal with that pressure. Basically how well you deal with the opposition's press in that situation. But I do take your point, because it's not like there's nobody up front. It's not like this is a game where like some teams will sit so deep that there almost isn't a centre forward. There will be a centre forward tomorrow. So I do take your point. There is going to be an actual tussle.
Good old fashioned centre forward, Sean, up front. I don't think Celtic will focus too much on Čolak, but it's a consideration. That's all I'm saying, because it will be all about what Celtic do. But you have to acknowledge that Čolak will give central defenders a hard time tomorrow, because that's what his game's all about.
Retro Celtic, Jens is a better player than Jens. Difficult one, that. Apart from that, Tony, we've had a fair few comments in here, and I expected this to be where the majority of people would maybe disagree, and that is with Sean Malloy's comment. Only choice is Maeda or Abada, Tony. Now, we're obviously skipping over the midfield here, but I think both of us are on the same wavelength that the first choice midfield for this will be McGregor, Hatate, O'Reilly.
That's my first choice midfield.
Turnbull and Moy being able to come on off the bench is ideal, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Indeed.
I think it's maybe harsh on Turnbull for a few people, because I think he did do well. But I do think McGregor, Hatate, O'Reilly.
Moy as well was excellent, but I just think that McGregor, Hatate and O'Reilly, they've played in a Rangers game before.
Yeah.
They know the terrain. I think it'd be a lot to ask of somebody like Moy to come in and do that. You know, I'm not saying he's incapable, but I just think you go with the tried and tested.
Yeah.
The only choice is Maeda or Abada. I'm with you, Sean. I'm either or. You wouldn't have any qualms. I just think he likes seeing games like this. I think he loves Maeda's work rate.
It does. That's why I'm. This is where the logic came.
Defensively, I think he puts in a better defensive shift than Abada.
This is where the logic came in for me earlier in the season, when I says I think he might actually end up getting the most game time out of all the forwards, because when you factor in injuries, he doesn't really get injured, Maeda. And I do think he's one of the first names on Ange's team sheet for bigger games. We'll see, I suppose, tomorrow, but I am inclined to think that it will start him, and it won't be for Jota. It will be for Abada, to me.
I think Abada will be unlucky to miss out. I concur with that, to be fair. But it's hard.
If it comes out that it is Abada, I don't think anybody's going to complain.
Well, going back to your depth chat, I'm equally happy with that, Sean. I look at that, and the players in white, if any of them do play, I'm still quite comfortable. I feel okay, and I'll trust the manager's decision because there will be a logic to it. The ones in yellow, I think, is you look at that and you think that's a strong team, but the guys that are in white, who are vying for those positions, it's still very strong as well. You've got like for like, I think, in those positions.
We've got a comment from Max Start. Has to be Abada, much more of a goal threat, plus Maida off the bench against tired legs could be lethal. Slightly more of a goal threat, slightly more. It's not as big a gap as what I think he would be led to believe, just because he scored a hat-trick because he done so well last year. Maida's got a good goal record as well. Maida off the bench against tired legs could be lethal. That's true, but it's also true for Abada.
Yeah.
So again, I think you'll go Maida, but I would not be overly perturbed, and I don't think a lot of people would, if he went with your three amigos from the start of last season, Jota, Kyogo, Abada. So. Yes,
I think, I think that's the wise choice, isn't it? Maida, the road runner all day. Yeah, and I mentioned it yesterday about Maida's anticipation for that finish. He was lightning quick when the goalkeeper spilled the ball. I mean, that was the way he took it. I thought was excellent. It was a poacher's instinct as well. And you'd said at the start of the season that he might be a shout for top goal scorer because he will get goals like that because he's quick to react. That's these are all things that managers think of too, and what they bring to the table and what they give. So Jota, Kyogo, Abada, says Kevin Ferrier. All about opinions, guys. Keep them coming in.
Barisic can't handle Abada. No, he couldn't, to be fair, but I would like to see him up against Jota. I'd like to see Jota up against Tavernier. I'd like to see Maida up against Tavernier. I genuinely think, and Haksabanovic off the bench, I genuinely think there's so many options there. And as Pete McGee says here, score's truly frightening. I agree with you, especially attacking.
Haksabanovic is somebody I would like to see come on at some point tomorrow. I think he'd be another pest towards the Rangers defence, and he's someone I thought was very impressive the other night. And I think if you let him loose for 20 odd minutes or half an hour even.
Well, you've seen what he done 15 minutes against County.
He could do some damage. So I'm looking forward to maybe seeing him getting a wee cameo tomorrow at some point if all is going well, Sean.
Patrick McLaughlin, Abada, Kyogo, Jota gives better balance. I see that argument a lot. I wouldn't disagree that it gives you very good balance, but I think there is that with Maida as well. In the tail end of last season when Kyogo was out, Tony, remember? It was Jota on the right, Maida on the left, and Yakimakis through the middle. And I thought the three of them performed really, really well together as well. So again, and I'm going to put up a wee bit of self-praise here. Well, it's not really self-praise, AJ's giving me praise, but the depth chart's excellent. Sean should use it on the channel more. Nice one. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well done, Sean. You know what I think of your depth charts. You're the man.
Yep. David Ferguson, again, just reiterating. This is the tone of the conversation today, Tony. Like, basically, no matter who comes on, they've got options.
I think the underlying tone of the conversation is there's a heady mix of optimism amongst the Celtic supporters. They trust the manager, they trust the squad he's built. That window being nothing short of sensational for a club like Celtic to get in all the players that they wanted with some early business and then obviously concluding some late business for areas that the manager has told you he's been road mapping it and marking it out where he thinks the team needs strengthening. So you cannot argue. Now, you can argue the toss about who is the better team between Celtic and Rangers at the minute. Celtic are the champions. So tomorrow's a chance to go out and show that, Sean. Show that you're a better team, you have a better squad depth, you have better players. Go out and prove that and show it. And I think that's what the manager will be telling the players. You are the champions of Scotland. Go out and perform like the champions of Scotland and perform for the fans who are obviously in unison with the team. There's a real buy-in with everybody. Celtic Park will be rocking tomorrow. It'll be one of those atmospheres again that will be akin to the night in February when Celtic, Celtic came out the blocks really quickly, and I think a lot of Celtic supporters are hoping that it pans out the same way, and I think there's reasonable grounds for optimism that it may well do. Sean?
Sorry, I was distracted there because I got a tweet from Ruben Kazan's English speaking account, and they are calling it a loan. And as I say, I think using that terminology, there's no real problem with it. But I do think it sounds, given Celtic's announcement, that it's the FIFA ruling. Either way, he's here for a season. But back to the game. Yep, I agree with everything you said there, Tony. There's a comment here, Jason Lee. I bet Giovanni Van Bronckhorst consistently tests Greg Taylor. What I would say to that is most teams do try and that's what most teams try and do. They think left centre back and left back are a weaker combination than right centre back and right back because there's about the same type of space behind both. But Juranovic and Carter Vickers are deemed more of a secure and dangerous problem than Taylor and Starfelt. I would argue this season Taylor's been performing brilliant again. Yeah. So most teams might try it. Most teams fail with it, is what I would say. So I suppose watch this space and we'll see how they get on with it.
But the caveat to that is that tomorrow is a step up in class in terms of opposition and in terms of a team that are going to come at you, put you under real pressure and try and get a result. So you would never underestimate Rangers in any game. I'm just saying that if Celtic want to prove that they're a better team than Rangers, then they have to go out and perform. If Celtic turn up, Sean, you believe that they can be victorious in this game. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But they have to turn up. I think arguably the semi-final game at Hampden, where he didn't play particularly great, you can argue all sorts of extenuating circumstances. That's fine. But they were a crossbar away from going 2-0 up in a game where they weren't playing particularly well. Cameron Carter Vickers slams it against the crossbar and probably would have put the game to bed. So, even allowing for a poorer performance, Celtic will still have moments in the game. There's confidence, Tony, and then there's cockiness. You always hear me on this programme talking about arrogance and confidence and cockiness. No Celtic supporters should ever feel like that about their team. But I think at the minute Celtic are playing reasonably well, that they can be optimistic about their chances in tomorrow's game, Sean.
No, I agree with you. There's a couple of comments here, maybe going back to the window, but Michael Nicholson deserves so much praise for this window. Agree. I think this window and the last window, the proper windows under his kind of tenure, if you know what I mean, both of them have been certainly. I mean, you can give things marks out of 10. This one's probably 10 out of 10. January one, in hindsight, will be a 10 out of 10. I know it was a kind of less activity, but I just think 2 windows in a row, superb work for the club, Tony. And you've got to give praise where it's due.
Manager's got the buy-in from everybody, hasn't he? You have to applaud the board for getting on message with the manager and him recommending players that he needs, and getting those players in. I mean, we've sat here or we've all spoken about Celtic not doing business in the window, stalling or buying players when the horses is bolted, when you've been put out the Champions League, all stuff like that. So everybody, to a man at the football club in all departments, deserves praise for this window. Yep. They all do. You have to applaud that, and that's where the optimism stems from. It's not cockiness, it's not arrogance, it's just optimism. Because when everybody's on the same page, as they say, you see the collective. We bang on about the collective all the time.
Aye.
When you've got a team on the park, that's producing the stuff that they're playing, the supporters buy in, they've got a manager that they trust and, they love. There's no two ways about it. No. Everybody loves Ange Postecoglou and he's charismatic and he's clearly been able to give his vision to the board as well, and they've bought into it too. So everybody at the club at this moment in time deserves praise. But now you have to go and retain your title, get to the knockout stages of the Champions League to show that you can progress. You have to progress now. So that's what you're hoping for now. Leagues aren't decided in September. I think one of the commenters said Celtic lost the first Glasgow Derby last season on to win the league. So nothing's settled.
Was that commenter Ange Postecoglou?
Nothing's settled tomorrow, Sean.
No, true.
It doesn't go Celtic's way. But what you're looking for is progression. And I think lots of Celtic fans think that the team are progressing. They're getting better. We've got some quality personnel in the door. So, yeah, why shouldn't they be optimistic?
Yeah. I'm going to put this comment up from Michael Hay, because it's something I mentioned a few times last season. Taylor has been Celtic's best player against Rangers a few times last season. He was League Cup final, great. At least 2 of the derbies, great. The Holy Trinity, if you want to put it that way. That was the bedrock of how he started winning people over.
Yeah, of course, without a doubt. And and I think one of the commenters said that this is a great test before they play Real Madrid. It is. It's the best test before you play Real Madrid. So, yeah, end of my gut, tomorrow's the first acid test of the season. We'll know where we're at after. But, the world doesn't end if Celtic lose tomorrow, Sean.
No.
So, but
technically,
yeah. Maybe for 24 hours it does for some people. But, so it's but I think if you're talking about Celtic's chances, you feel reasonably happy that they can win this game of football.
There's no reason not to be confident, Tony. Yeah. That's what I would say. Frank's right. There is a fine line.
Yeah.
The team won't cross that line, and I don't see many fans crossing it either, because
manager won't allow it.
Confidence. It is confidence.
Yeah, the manager won't allow it. But I think you trust the football players that would take to the field tomorrow to deliver the manager's message, and looking on, you think, okay, got more than a reasonable chance. So
a couple of comments here, Tony. One that I think will take some beating for the comment of the day. Beach Boys, is the depth chart not Darth Vader's house?
Yeah, I'm loving that, because I think you said the death chart. You were saying at the start, but I did say depth, but there you go.
You like your Star Wars, Tony, don't you?
I do. I like my Star Wars, of course. So being naturally biased, then I'm going to say that's the comment of the day. But I'll leave the casting vote with yourself, Sean. But yeah,
end of my gut, excellent scouting, and Michael Wilson, kudos, leave the rest to Ange. On the note of scouting, I'm putting a wee link in the comments. We've had Stuart Ross on doing an in-depth scout report. He was up till the early hours getting this in. So please give it
Gary Corey's having a go at me. Well, I'm just one of the comments now. Thanks, Tony. You're just one of the Sorry, Jerry. I don't know.
Follow the belt.
Retweet your comment. I'll put your comment back in and tell me what it was, and I will name check you. Sorry, mate.
It will be the one that I says is at Ange Postecoglou, I think, won't it?
Is that right? Yeah.
I think so. Aye. But no, it's aye. So as I say, give that a wee read. Stuart was up till the early hours putting that together. Really quite in depth as to what Oliver Abildgaard will bring to Celtic, where he could fit in, the kind of things he does. I know I touched on some stats yesterday, but Stuart does it better than I do. So give that a wee read.
Indeed. Well, Sean, fabulous Friday, Super Saturday. That's what we want tomorrow. And guys, keep your eyes on the website. We'll be updating all the stuff during the Glasgow Derby day.
Yep.
And
so Tony.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
me or you first for this score prediction?
Score predictions, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you go first last? I can't remember.
I think you went first.
I went first last. I said 4-0, didn't I? Right. I'm smashing one back over the net to you, Sean, to go first.
Right. I'll go 2-0 Celtic.
2-0 Celtic. Okay.
2-0 clean sheet.
Just to be different, I'll go 3-0 Celtic.
Will McMillan's agreeing with you, Tony. 3-0. Patrick McLaughlin 3-0 or 3-1, and Kyogo first goal. Well, Kyogo first goals come in every week for the last 4 weeks, isn't it? So David Bradley 1-0.
Fair enough. I'll take that.
A couple of people saying 71 for Haksabanovic to score. I don't know, is that any time? Because that's a decent odds. Few score lines coming in. But what makes you 3-0, Tony? What makes you think 3-0? Just that confidence. 4-0 would be arrogance, would it?
I think so, yeah. I just think that they're just playing really, really well, and I think they're being more clinical. The manager's banged on about being clinical. Jerry Coyle, there's Jerry, that's right, Jerry. You're not just one of the contributors, Jerry, or commenters. We enjoy all the commenters and contributors. So thanks very much for everybody for getting in touch. We do enjoy the wee community that we've built here, and we enjoy the.
I don't know if you could hear that, but my daughter's obviously disagreeing with the 2-0 prediction. Yeah.
No, I just think that Celtic are more clinical in front of goal just now, and I'm trusting the guys at the back, despite the fact that I mentioned Cholak.
Yep.
They'll frustrate him and limit his chances. So Michael Ross, it could well be. I toyed with the idea of 3-1, but we'll see what happens. But I still think there's grounds and room for optimism if you're a Celtic supporter. But again, the caveat that they have to turn up. Got to turn up and play. And if they turn up and play, I think we'll be entertained, Sean.
No, same. I'm inclined to agree with you. Curtis here with what a bet that would be. 3-1 Celtic. Kyogo first goal scorer, Haksabanovic last goal scorer.
Well, there you
Decent
go.
odds on that, surely.
Plenty
of confidence, not cockiness. Plenty of confidence in the comments, Tony. Yes. Definitely today. So hopefully that bears fruit on the part tomorrow.
Indeed. And before we go, just flag it up again, Sean.
Yep.
They can win, courtesy of our new sponsors, football prizes for $3.95. Enter yourself into the draw for a stunning signed and framed Celtic shirt. Courtesy of, as I say, our new sponsor, football prizes. But you can also win 2 instant win prizes, which is a Kyogo signed and framed shirt, as well as a £25 gift voucher for the club shop. Sean, comment time. Are we giving it?
I can't see past Beach Boys there. I thought that was a cracker.
Okay. Yeah, indeed. We'll go with the depth chat comment.
Yep. So love Beach Boys, if you message on Facebook, direct message on Facebook, direct messages on Twitter, we'll get you sorted with a free entry for you can maybe win the Leila Bada signed and framed top. All right.
Indeed. And subscribe, guys. You know what to do. Quality journalism, covering the club you love. £1 a month for full access to the website, the pods, everything. It's brilliant. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. We roll on to tomorrow, Sean. It's Derby Day. It'll all come out in the wash, won't it? We will reconvene on Monday. See if it's a happy Monday, Sean. 10 o'clock, guys. You know where to come. 10 o'clock in the morning every day. Thanks for your comments, guys. Your contributions. We value them highly. And have a great weekend.
Certainly do. Cheers, Tony. Cheers, Trips.